Today I read on chapter 15, the geography and the structure of the New Testament. Hiding among the giant and mountains in the South American country of Peru lies a flat valley about 40 miles long, isolated from the rest of the world. Roads and paths lie all over the floor of this vast valley, strewn like long thin trees that have fallen at random. For years, archaeologists have guessed that they were a forgotten network of roads left by an ancient civilization. Perspective was changed radically, however, when someone chanced to study the valley from the air. From the vantage point, what seemed to be haphazard and random now became quite clear. They were not roads and paths at all, but a monumental desert mural picturing objects that were many miles in height. What the morals are, what they mean, how they were built, for whom they were built, and by whom they were built, are all lost to the mist of time. The monumental mural has symbolic message for us all. However, often the whole picture of something cannot be seen if we are too close to it. We must get back away from the details of what we see, studying to see the overview. This is certainly true of the geography of the New Testament. When in the Gospel you read of going from the cities of Jericho to Jerusalem to Cana, those are just words on a page with no meaning. Until you have overviewed the geography, you have no realization that someone has just walked energy. 75 miles, the distance from Baltimore to Philadelphia, or that the trip also included walking up 1,300 feet in altitude and then down another 1,000. In fact, gaining perspective on the geography of the New Testament is in itself a fascinating study. Israel is a tiny country compared to the United States. Draw a line 50 miles wide from New York and Boston, or stand Massachusetts on end, or shrink New Hampshire by 10%, and you have the approximate land area of Israel. Yet it is a remarkably varied land, from low desert to high mountains with lush valleys and rolling hills in between. The gamut is run in topography, and any body of water that you cannot swim across is a sea, and every hill higher than your head is a mountain. The Sea of Galilee is 7 miles by 14 miles, almost a mud puddle compared to the Great Lakes. The Dead Sea is 10 miles by 50 miles smaller than some virtually nameless reservation in the US. The mighty Jordan is little more than a strong running creek compared to the truly mighty rivers of the world like the Amazon or Mississippi. Perhaps because it is such a small country, everything is exaggerated. To be able to create mental pictures as you read through the events of the New Testament is to help the narrative come alive. So as we begin looking at the New Testament, we begin with the geography of the Gospels and the Acts. The difference between the geography of the Gospels and the geography of the book of Acts is significant enough and no warrant separate treatment. Now, the bodies of water in the Gospels Once you have mastered the geography of the Old Testament, the geography of the New Testament is fairly simple. The bodies of water are among those of the Old Testament studied in chapter 2. To review, go to the map and the following and write in the number of the bodies of water by matching the numbers. We have 1, the Mediterranean Sea, 2, the Sea of Galilee, 3, the Jordan River, and 4, the Dead Sea. Now, the bodies of water in the Gospels, we fill in the geographical blanks on the map as shown. Now, the provinces and the cities in the Gospels, the primary geographical area in the Gospel is the same as that which was ruled by the nation of Israel in the Old Testament. However, the land is ruled by Rome and has been divided into sections or provinces. Now, as you read these descriptions, write the location on the map that follows by matching the letters. A, the province of Galilee, located between the Mediterranean Sea and the sea that shares its name. Galilee is the province Jesus considered his home. Both Nazareth, his early home, and Capernaum, his latter home, are in Galilee, hence the phrase, the man from Galilee. Now we have the province of Samaria, located between the Mediterranean Sea and the Jordan River. Samaria is home to Samaritans, a people of mixed race, part Jewish, part Gentile. They live in common animosity with the Jews. Now, the province of Judea is located between the Mediterranean Sea and the Dead Sea. Judea is approximately the same area as the southern tribe of Judah in the Old Testament. Encompassing the city of Jerusalem, it is home to most of the Jews in the New Testament. And then we have the province of Perea, a long, narrow province on the east bank of the Jordan River. Jesus spent some concentrated time there with his disciples towards the end of his ministry. Now we have the city of Nazareth, located in Galilee, just west of the Sea of Galilee. It is the town where Mary and Joseph lived and in which Jesus grew up. Then we have the city of the Capernaum, located at the very top of the Sea of Galilee. It is the town Jesus called home during his ministry years. And the city of Jerusalem, that is located in Judea, just off the top of the Dead Sea. It is the home of the temple, the holy city, and the centre of activity for Jews. And the city of Bethlehem, the birthplace of Jesus, it is 5 miles southwest of Jerusalem. Now let's do the provinces and the cities in the Gospels, the filling in the map below. Okay, so now we have the bodies of water in Acts. The bodies of water are the same as for the Gospels, only more of the Mediterranean is involved. Therefore, you already know them. The countries and the cities in Acts. As we move out of the Gospels and into Acts, our geography expands from the Holy Land further into the Roman Empire. Now we have Galatia, located in modern-day Turkey. It was the destination of the Apostle Paul's first missionary journey to take the gospel message to Gentiles. Now, Greece is located in modern Greece. It was the destination for Paul's second missionary journey. And then Asia is located on the western coast of modern Turkey. It was the destination of Paul's third missionary journey. And Italy is located in modern Italy. It was the country of Paul's final imprisonment and death. And the city of Jerusalem is located in modern Jerusalem. It is the location of the beginning of the early Christian church. Now we have the city of Damascus, located in modern Damascus in the modern country of Syria. It was Paul's destination when he was temporarily blinded by Jesus and converted to Christianity. The city of Caesarea is located on the Mediterranean coast just south of the Sea of Galilee. It was the site of Paul's trials in the book of Acts. And the city of Antioch on the Mediterranean coast north of Israel, near modern Turkey. It was the beginning point for all three of Paul's missionary journeys. And the city of Rome is located in modern Rome. It was the political and the cultural heart of the Roman Empire. And here we have the geography of the Acts diagram. Now let's do a self-test. What you learn today is built on what you learn tomorrow. What you learn tomorrow is built on what you learn today. The geography of the Gospels, from the options listed to fill in the bodies of water, the provinces and the cities on the map that follows. So we have the number of bodies of water: the Dead Sea, the Jordan River, the Mediterranean Sea and the Sea of Galilee. Then we have the letters, cities and provinces: Bethlehem, Capernaum, Galilee, Jerusalem, Judea, Nazareth, Perea and Samaria, all which can be filled in on this diagram. Now we have the geography of Acts. From the options listed, we fill in the countries and the cities on the following map. The countries are Asia, Galatia, Greece and Italy, and the cities are Antioch, Caesarea, Damascus, Jerusalem and Rome. Okay, the historical books of the New Testament. Having mastered the geography of the New Testament, we are now ready to continue the story of the Bible with the three main areas that remain. You will recall that the 27 books of the New Testament can be divided into three different kinds of books: 5 historical books, 13 Pauline epistles, and 9 general epistles. Now, as we did with the historical books in the Old Testament, first we will overview the events of the historical books of the New Testament, the Gospels and the Acts. Then in the following chapters we will expand the storyline. The three main areas of the New Testament: we have the Gospel, the life of Jesus of Nazareth as told in Gospels. Secondly, the church, the formation of the Christian church. And third, the missions, the expansion of the church into the Roman Empire through missions. Now let's review. Write the correct number in the blank from the options on the right. We have the subject of missions. Let's fill in the number for the description. The life of Jesus of Nazareth is told in the Gospel. Secondly, the Gospel, the formation of the Christian church. And thirdly, the church, the number of the expansion of the church into the Roman Empire through missions. We are now able to add this new information to our storyline chart from the Old Testament. Now we have the story of the Bible Summary: the era is the creation, the figure is Adam, and the location is Eden. Now we have a storyline summary. Adam is created by God, but he sins and destroys God's original plan for man. Then we have the patriarch, figure of Abraham, and the location of Canaan. Abraham is chosen by God to father a people to represent God to the world. Now the Exodus, the Moses and Egypt, is through Moses God delivers the Hebrew people from slavery in Egypt and then gives them the law. Then we have the conquest, Joshua and Canaan. Joshua leads the conquest of the promised land. Now the judges and Samson and Canaan. Samson and others were chosen as judges to govern the people for 400 rebellious years. Then we have the kingdom, David and Israel. David, the greatest king in the new monarchy, is followed by a succession of mostly unrighteous kings, and God eventually judges Israel for her sin, sending her into exile. Now we have exile, Daniel and Babylonia. Daniel gives leadership and encourages faithfulness among the exiles for the next 70 years. And the return, Ezra and Jerusalem. Ezra leads the people back from exile to rebuild Jerusalem. The silence, the Pharisees and Jerusalem. Pharisees and others entomb the Israelites in legalism for the next 400 years. Then we have the gospel to be supplied later, the church and the missions. We'll go into them later. So now we'll reflect on the three central figures of the New Testament, which are the era, gospel, church and missions, the figures Jesus, Peter and Paul, and the descriptions, the predicted Messiah, the leader of early church and the first Christian missionary. Now let's review these, fill in the blanks. The era is gospel, the figure is Jesus, and the description is the predicted blank. Church, Peter, the blank of the early church. Missions, Paul, and the first Christian, blank. We are now able to add the central figures from the New Testament to our storyline chart, which shows just the New Testament eras. Era is gospel, the figure is Jesus, to be supplied later, locations and storylines. And same for the church and Peter, the mission and Paul. That our final task is to identify the general of primary geographic location of the events of the three main eras of the New Testament. As an exercise in memory, write in each main era and central historical figure as you read the description of the geographical location. The three main locations of the New Testament, we have fill in era and figure. The location is Galilee, Samaria and Judea. The description is the general land area that was known as Canaan and Israel in the Old Testament is commonly known in the Roman provinces of Galilee, Samaria and Judea. Now secondly, fill in the era and the figure. Era begins with C, figure begins with P, and we have the location as Jerusalem. The ancient city of Jerusalem has been in the same location throughout most of biblical history after the Kingdom era. It is the city that gave birth to the early church. And lastly, let's fill in the era. It begins with M and the figure begins with a P. The Roman Empire, as Paul spread the message of Christianity, he took it to the heart of the Roman Empire from Judea north into what as modern Turkey and went through modern Greece to Italy. Now let's review, write the correct numbers in the blanks. Below we have the era of Gospel, the figure of Jesus, writing the number and the location as the Roman Empire. Now fill in the church and Peter's number for the Galilee, Samaria and Judea. And lastly, fill in the missions, Paul for the number for Jerusalem. We are now able to add the main locations from the New Testament to our storyline chart as seen in the following. We have the era Gospel, figure Jesus, Galilee, Samaria and Judea, and the storyline summary is to be supplied later. We also have the church and Peter with the location Jerusalem, and the missions Paul with the location of the Roman Empire. Now the arc of the Bible history, we fill in the name of the era to check your answer. See below. The arc of the Bible diagram. Okay, so you finish with the era, the figures and the locations for. Congratulations, you have just taken a big step towards mastering an overview of the New Testament. From now on we will get more specific, but you have the basic structure well in hand. And that's all for today. Thank you.